Welcome to Three Blondes, One Battle. How are you, Bobby?
I am doing so much better. So much
So
better.
good. I can't wait to talk about it. So, when we were thinking about topics, what to talk about today, we thought that it would be a perfect time to talk about just kind of how the virus season is here. Like people get
Yeah.
sick in the winter. They just do.
Yeah.
But Bobby has been pretty darn sick lately. So we thought it would kind of be perfect to talk about maybe just preventative. I think, when I titled this, I did say some people think that because we manage MS, that we're more prone or susceptible to catching viruses. I don't know if I believe that, but I mean, we could talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what has been going on in your world in the last? What has it been like? 2 weeks?
2 weeks. It's been so long. And my voice is a lot better. It's a little bit raspy. I couldn't even talk for like a good 10 days. Like I lost my voice. I could there was nothing coming out. I could whisper, but that was pretty much it. But the thing is, I have not been this sick in a long time. Like I've gotten little things here and there, but nothing that made me so sick.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, I don't know if you're like this too, Nikki, but I don't really always jump towards the doctor. And it could be,
Mm-mm.
just I don't want to say an ego thing just because I don't always want to run to the doctor when I'm sick because sometimes you're like, maybe it's just like a 24-hour something or 48 hours. So you give yourself some time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I feel like sometimes, for me, like with my story and coming to realization a little bit, I feel like I have a little bit of like PTSD with doctors because sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they going to say? Like, what are they going to, because it gets to the point of, I just don't want to deal with it. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't deal with the BS, you know what I mean? So, I it got to the point I think I was, and it mind you, this is during Thanksgiving. So like urgent care hours are like shifting and like my doctor, like their hours are absolutely crazy, taking time off. And so there was it probably not the greatest time to get sick, right? So
No.
it was pretty much 8 days and I was like, I'm not getting any better. And it was so bad because I realized how much it impacted my MS, even though I did not want to like face up to it. And so when I went to when I went to the doctor, she looked at me and she's like, well, I'm glad that you came in because you're really sick. And she's like, you have to remember sometimes, your body may do a pretty good job about, taking care of those little bugs. But she's like, during peak seasons, she's like, it's that time of season. Kids are back in school, sports, all the stuff. She's like, you are going to have such a hard time. And I ended up with pneumonia. And it probably didn't start out like that, but because I waited so long, it developed into a really bad, nasty respiratory infection, right? And so
Yeah.
it was really hard because I realized my MS was impacted because I was experiencing symptoms of when like my attacks that have been kind of at bay doing just fine. And it kind of brought back like those memories that you forget until like you feel that feeling again.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at my husband and I'm like, I never want to go through that again. Like I have not been this sick in so long, but also it was hard for me, and it always is for me. Like there's days like I feel so good and I don't even think of, living with MS. And I don't always think that too. And I think that's just a hard thing that, I know that I struggle with. Living with MS is it's hard when that realization hits and you're like, your mind, you're like, I don't feel like I am. But then your body is like, we actually are. Like, we're actually feeling, you know what I mean?
So you said on text that you couldn't even walk, like he was helping
Yeah.
you walk?
Yeah, so you know how like with my MS impacts, like my lower back, my pelvis, and my
Yeah,
legs,
your
I
hips.
couldn't walk.
Yeah.
Like my husband had to carry me. Like I was in so much numbness, but I was in so much pain. And it brought me back to my relapse in 2018 when everything shifted for me. And I was having moments of not panicking, but it just brought back that what I went through and how like scary it was. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I know that this isn't new, but I don't want to be feeling this. Like I know what this feeling is, and I couldn't
Hmm.
sleep, and I was coughing like constantly, and I just and rest is important, right? Especially
Hmm.
living with MS, like dealing with like the heaviness, on the daily basis.
Yeah.
But I mentally I was like checked out, and I knew that I was. But then I also knew I'm like, okay, like I know I'm healthy. I take good care of myself. I know that, you know, I do good things, right? But that next morning I looked at my husband and I was like, I have to go in. Like you have to take me in.
Oh, you hadn't even been in at that point. You couldn't even walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you
So
might be
I
more stubborn than me. I mean,
so
wait.
so I had a fever. So it started Wednesday, so right before Thanksgiving. Okay. So it started that late evening, and I'm like, well, maybe this is like, you know how like in your mind you're like, okay, I'm gonna give myself 24 hours. In my
Yes.
mind, with MS, right? Give yourself
Yeah,
24 hours, see how it is.
totally.
And Thanksgiving, and I knew I couldn't even get in the vehicle. Like I was.
Oh no. She was so distraught she disappeared. Uh um Bobby, if you can still hear me, we can't see you. Um
Am I there?
you're still black. You have like a black box. Oh, now you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was so weird.
that was
Um,
weird.
Yeah, so Thursday, Thanksgiving, right? I was so sick. Like I was so nauseous. I lost my complete appetite. Like I was just in the fetal position, and my husband wanted to bring me into the urgent care because they had a short time. And I looked
Mhm.
at him like I can't, like not even like
Move.
touching, like my skin hurt. I'm like, I do not want to move out of this spot. I'm like, because if I do, I feel like I'm gonna have a complete breakdown because I hurt so bad. And so come Friday, that and plus my vertigo got triggered. So that's why I was like nauseous.
Wait, let's pause. So you said you had a fever. I hope you
Yeah.
took Tylenol that whole time, right? To get the fever down?
So I did do Tylenol because my
Okay.
doctor prescribed it.
Well, right.
Um,
Remember we talked about with MS, like we cannot
yeah.
spike fevers. It'll bring on attacks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I did that. It did okay, but I knew like I was like 102, like between range 100 to 103, and it would bring it down to about like 100, a little bit, almost 101. So I knew it was kind of helping me. But like pain wise, like I took my muscle stuff to help me relax, didn't even like touch it. And so I'm like, okay, my body is angry right now. And so come Friday, I got a hold of my doctor, and of course they didn't message me back because with the holidays, because they had
Right.
short hours, and I couldn't still walk. Like I was super nauseous, like I couldn't even function. Saturday I was feeling better, so I'm like, okay, well maybe I'm on the mend. Like okay, like I'm feeling pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
And Sunday got a little bit better. Still, had no voice or anything. Monday I woke up and I'm like, okay, something is wrong. Like I still have know my voice. Like I'm coughing horribly. Like there's something that's happening. And so I went in, and my right lung was like the worst. And so she looked at me and she's like, I do not like the sound of your lung at all. And so they tested me everything. And so I got like three things of different like steroids, like inhaler, of course, antibiotic to help with that infection. And so I'm like, oh, this is like so nice. Like so knowing I'm like, okay, like I know I need to be a lot more like in tuned in like what I'm eating, even though I couldn't really eat them much because I lost my appetite. But I'm like, okay, I need nutritional things. Like, I know I need my rest because I'm like, I'm such in this phase. I'm like, I can have like a new attack. Like, I can something in this time frame because everything that we talked about. And so I've been doing pretty good. Like, my voice is like coming back. Like, my energy is better. Like, my chest is feeling good. It's just my voice box is just kind of taking a little bit longer as it usually does.
Dang,
Right?
dude.
Yeah, but it was not fun at all.
So what do you think that initial, like, so you hurt to the touch, dude, like the first, and like that high fever, that actually reminds me of one of the COVID strains. And I know we always bring up the COVID strain, but it's like that's going to keep mutating year after year. And so I don't know, it just like, did you have headaches?
I had like horrible headaches. And so I was thinking, okay,
dude, it sounds like a COVID strain.
So right now in Florida, like, influenza is horrible. Strep is horrible. All types of respiratory infections, pneumonia, bronchitis is out of control right now in Florida. And so she was like, more than likely, because we were going over my symptoms, and she's like, you could, like, she's like, I don't feel like so much like COVID wise. I can't remember what strand of influenza. I don't know I can't remember which one. She's like,
isn't the A really bad?
Yeah. I think so. It's A. But she's like, I feel like you started with influenza just because of how like your symptoms were.
Yeah.
And it just exacerbated pneumonia. And it was so long. So long. I'm like, am I ever gonna get better?
Dude, I even know like little kids with like my girlfriend Jenna. What state is she in? Is she in Iowa? But yeah, her child is hospitalized right now he's like on breathing, like for pneumonia and all sorts of like, so I know it's going around the country right now. Yeah. How do you think you caught it?
I think honestly, so my son like practiced because he does jujitsu, and almost it was like a 2-week difference, and he just had this like cough. Didn't have like a fever or anything like that. Mind you, he's really young, like he's very healthy. So I'm thinking that's where it came from, because I haven't been around like people or anything, so I'm 100% confident that's where.
Isn't that funny how like our kids, and so that kind of the question kind of comes back into play as far as like, are we more susceptible to catching viruses? Obviously kids can fight off viruses better than most. I'm not quite sure why my girlfriend's child is so sick. But the majority of kids I feel like can, fight off viruses pretty well. But when it comes to us, I don't know. I feel like everybody's definitely different. I wouldn't put everybody kind of in that one big bubble of, hey, if you have MS, you better, it's kind of like during COVID. Remember out loud where they were like, oh, mask up. If you have MS, you better mask up because you're going to catch it more than the average person is like, are we really? If that were the case, we would constantly be sick, and you and I aren't constantly sick. So I
100% agree with that, because like I said, I have not been this sick in years, like long time, like long time.
Yeah.
And, like, I've had like little things, but it was nothing like that impacted my MS. Right. And so I believe it's like your daily lifestyle, how much sleep you're getting, like what you're drinking, like I 100% believe all of that plays a role.
Million
percent. Your hygiene. Like I talked about this yesterday on my stories. Like, hygiene is so important. Like when I was in the military, it really showed me, because there were so many people that didn't know. Make sure you brush your teeth, brush your hair, put clean clothes on, wash your dirty clothes.
Yes. Wait, there's people like that out there. Like, what do you mean? Like
we would have, I can't remember what we would call it, but it would be a watch. Like, you would have to make sure the person was actually properly cleaning, making sure, brushing their teeth, like clean clothes.
Is this not common sense that you should maybe shower daily?
No. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I had a guy that I worked with, he came from Air Force, and he worked with a lot, army wise, and he's like, it's everywhere. He's like, and he was in, when he switched over to the Navy, I think he was in like 12, 13 years. So he was in, quite a significant time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was huge. Like I definitely saw it like through boot camp. And I'm like, how do people
Dirty people. Yeah, man, if you're in your 40s and you're still dirty, you got something, you should be sick. I'm sorry. Like you deserve influenza A, like unless you're, homeless. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
which you probably wouldn't be listening. Although every time I see a homeless person, they're on their cell phone. So I would say they don't have podcast ability, but they probably do. But I digress. I do think that your overall health has to do with that. But I do think there's ways that you can kind of boost that around this year. I do, whenever I do feel, let's say I start getting stuffy, or Dylan's never really sick. But if you have kids that bring something home, you could definitely up like, oh, I know, this is a great example. When was Carlos over here? So it was the weekend before Thanksgiving. He was so sick. I mean, he was on the couch, like we're talking 24 hours. He was so sick. Dylan and I didn't catch it, but what I did is I mega dosed vitamin C. So I was taking 3,000 milligrams. So one pill was 1,000 milligrams. I was taking 3,000 milligrams. Of course, it's gonna make you poop your brains out, but that's okay. Because you'll poop if that virus is in you. You're gonna dump all of the bad crap. So 3,000 milligrams, and I did it 3 times that day. And then I don't know, obviously we're not medical professionals. I'm just telling you what I did, but I actually have one pill of zinc is typically 50 milligrams. So I did the two pills that day. Then I also did L-lysine, which L-lysine is a virus kill. So it kills viruses. And so those are big pills. I popped 2 of those. Yeah, those are horse pills. Those are like, ugh. No, if you have a child that will pop that, I am so impressed. I would actually like to see that on video if you could get a kid to swallow that big ass pill. And then let's see. I always do the vitamin D, but sometimes I forget. So I made sure I did that. The vitamin D K3.
Like those 4 are huge, because even doctors, like, especially now, I feel like they talk about those things.
Yeah.
But those are huge. Like, and you can incorporate those, in your day. It doesn't have to be like a super, high dose when like you're around. Like
when you feel, exactly. Like he was in our house. Like it was in the air, and like you'd be like coughing. I'm like, what the cover? What? Like, yeah, he's got some bad habits, dude. Like he just coughs in the air. Like, who does that? Who just coughs in the air? So anyway, so yes, we were very exposed, and neither of us got sick. The one other pill that during COVID we were talking about, it's actually a 4-in-1. It's NAC.
Oh.
It's the one with it's on Amazon, you guys. It's not expensive. It has NAC, it's got quercetin, it's got the vitamin D3K. I forget what the other one is in it.
I can't remember. I just remember the quercetin, which is awesome stuff.
Yeah. And then of course I still have ivermectin. So I actually gave him some ivermectin, which he's not a believer at all. Like, we don't see eye and eye, like, but I'm like, hey, just take this. Just take it. So I did take
for so long.
I know, but I don't, like, I'm not going to change a 51-year-old's, mind about anything. So I popped some of that, and I gave Dylan. Those pills are so little, so I gave Dylan some of that too. I'm like, ugh. We got a sickie in the house. And it was funny, as the week before, his kid, he was sick too. And he ended up going back home on Monday getting strep. And I was like, what? So it was like 2 weekends in a row, and neither of us got sick. So,
that's great. And I think especially with the 6, and everybody's going to be different. But the thing is, just be precautious. Start doing daily things that you can control.
Yeah.
We already know this time of year the bugs come out. Kids are all around each other. There's tons, germs and all, kids aren't washing their hands properly.
Nah.
That's just what it is. But I just want to don't have fear around it. Like I
Yeah.
see so much of that, like on social media, people talk about and they get mad at people that they love. And I'm like, control the things that you can control doesn't mean, berating and belittling other people just because they're not doing what you're doing. Like
Yeah.
things that you can control. And, if you don't want to be around, like, hey, I know you've been sick, so I'm just going to be precautious just because I just don't have time to get sick. All right. Nobody has
Yeah.
time to get sick. But like, I just don't want to take that chance. So, hey, how about
Mhm.
we meet up in a week or two? Like,
Yeah, I think that's totally legit. I remember when Dylan was a kid, he didn't get sick often, but man, with his friend had the flu, I was like, all right, see you in 2 weeks. Like I was dead set on. I was like, nah.
oh,
They're like,
I do
oh,
the
he's
same thing too. Like if my
yeah.
kids start getting like a cough,
Mm.
they don't go to practices. I tell their coaches, and I'm like, I'm not putting them around other kids because I know it's just going to spread.
Yeah,
And
it'll spread because of my kid. That's great parenting, Bobby.
oh, it drives me crazy. Drives me crazy. I'm like, why? Like, you can't. I see kids. I'm like, you can't breathe. You're blowing your nose like crazy. Like, you're pale. Why are you
Yeah.
at practice? Like,
Yeah, I would say the majority. I mean, majority of parents just don't care. Like
no,
they're no,
yeah,
they just don't.
no,
So,
no,
but that's the society. That's the world we live in. Like
yeah.
people don't think about other people. But and then one huge tip that I think that we always forget: the average human touches their face way too much. So maybe focus on like during the time that let's say other people are sick in your house, or I don't know, you have to go to work and like people are sick. Maybe don't touch your face as much. All right.
Well,
like that.
and I love that you say that because on the flip side, like people should be washing their hands a lot more than just like once. I don't even think people really wash their hands, but
I think people go to the bathroom and they don't want. I watch women do it and I'm like, you're disgusting, but whatever. Like,
so when I don't know if you do this, I hate using public restrooms. Like, I hate it.
I don't care.
So much. Just because I just have seen some things that I'm like, I'm gonna throw up, which it takes a lot for me to throw up, Kate. Like I grew up on a ranch, I seen some nasty stuff, okay?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is this? Where's this coming from?
But like seeing people like when I go, I don't know if you do this, but when I wash my hands, like I always do the paper towel. Like I hate doing the dry because there's like it just spreads.
No, I won't use that. I'll wipe it off on my pants before I use those things.
But I can't. I love it that they put the door like it has like the foot thing, so you can like grab it.
Yeah.
Ever. If it does not have it, I'm grabbing all the paper, or I'm gonna go get some more toilet paper.
I just go like this though, and then I open it.
No.
Well, it's not like I'm going like this on my, like where I touch. Like, when are you going to put this?
You never know.
Anywhere.
You can be rubbing it. You never know.
I don't know. But here's the thing, like with MS, like, well,
I just think of like the thought of like fecal, like it just
boogers, lots of boogers. No, the bottom thing, the thing about that thing is like sometimes, like especially in the summer, I'll use those things, but in the winter, like my legs, I don't have enough like stability to be able to put one foot under there and pull, and so I typically just go like this. I mean, I don't know, like that's just what I do because I feel like more places than not do not have. For some, I don't know, is it getting expensive and people are just not using the paper towels?
Well, I have noticed in some places that we go that they don't have the paper towels. It's the dryers now.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing, like I'll like wipe or
not using that.
But I have noticed way less seeing like paper towels, which is
when I mentioned that to Carlos about I don't use those things, he's like, why? I was like, ew, have you not watched the video about that? He's like, no. I was like, all right, well, I'm not explaining it. You need to watch like all the germs that's cool. Yeah, I'm not using those things. All right. Well, I think we gave some good advice. Don't touch your face.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Don't stress over the crazy season. And the thing is in my mind, like, even though like I said, it's been a long time since I've gotten sick. But I'm like, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna do. But my stubborn tushy took too long to get to the doctor.
Dude, yeah, that when you're to the point where
So
you're like,
don't be like me. Okay, learn from
yeah.
my mistake.
And again, if you're managing MS, dude, don't let that temperature get high. Like remember that's when I had to call the ambulance at 3 a.m. in the morning because I literally let it get so high I couldn't move. I was stuck on the floor, dude. So yeah, it's very important to get that. And I know all of us natural like lovers, we want our body to just fight it, which is totally fine if you don't manage MS. Like I am all for you, digging deep, pushing through. Don't use any Tylenol.
There's that breaking point.
Well, for us, there is. For the average. Yeah. But
I agree.
Anyway, all right. Well, hopefully this was helpful, giving some tips out there. And yeah, I'm glad that you're feeling better.
I am. I'm feeling so much better. I feel like
and you look
person.
And you look vibrant. You just look so pretty in that pink dress. Look at you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. As always, like and subscribe on iTunes or Spotify. That really helps spread our message to others managing MS.
Bye.
All right. See ya.